What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Thanks for being here. Liam Murphy back. If you like fantasy football, best ball, you're in the right place. Your favorite analyst channel here. So, the combine's in the books. We have some exciting times where I believe today is the deadline on the tag. I've been busy researching my rookies. To sum it up, the running back class pretty much as advertised. A lot of big-bodied, fast men entering this year's draft. What that does, in general, it adds some ambiguity to a lot of the starting running back rooms we have in the NFL. Now, some of these teams are easier to tag than others. Teams like the Cowboys seem very obvious to add a rookie. That will probably be their starter. Teams like the Bears, well, you get the GM being like, yeah, the starting running back's probably not on the roster, right? Then there's some teams where it's a little bit less clear. Team like the Chiefs, they could go J.K. Dobbins in free agency. They could be a surprise Aaron Jones team. Pacheco could return to form. It's really all over the place. And then there's some teams you really wouldn't think of where I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams draft a guy pretty high, say, see you later, Blake Corum, and the guy they draft is just like pretty good and splits touches with Kyron Williams. If Gene T slips to the Bengals, could they be the team to take the stab there? Could the Raiders take Gene T at 6? Could they do something crazy like that? The wide receiver class, pretty much no one was a real wow guy other than Matthew Golden, who this man was much faster than people expected. And to the point where he's probably going to be a first-round pick, ideally to a team later, like from the 20s to the 30s. What you don't want is you don't want like Matthew Golden to end up with the Steelers with Justin Fields, right? That's just not a high fantasy ceiling offense, right? For passing. What you do want is you probably want Matthew Golden to end up with the Chargers. You would like him to end up with the Texans. You would like him to be the Bills, because he pretty much could walk into the second guy there. The Chiefs, obviously, makes sense. There are, the tight end class. There were a couple surprise guys. There's some big boys out there. The Packers for Golden, sure. I still think the DK Metcalf stuff to the Packers makes sense. I went ahead and updated my my rankings. On beatbestball.com. Pretty much, moved around a lot of the rookies, some guys significantly so. I've updated to account for the Deebo Samuel trade, which we're going to talk about too before we jump into this draft. And somewhat of what I've done is to account for like the risk, where you guys know I'm a big Brandon Ayuk guy, but I've put him behind Jennings. I've put him behind quite a bit of guys just because, come to Jesus moment about Ayuk. Double ligament tear, not great. Definitely not great, right? So I still think Godwin, he's quite a risky guy too, but it seems like he's going to get the money in free agency where I I get, if he gets the contract, that kind of takes care of concerns. There are some guys I'm definitely lower on market, some guys I'm higher on market. The running backs, something I wanted to say is a guy like Caleb Johnson. He didn't wow at the combine in context of the rest of the class. He's a big boy. He he ran like a 4.57. So these are like whatever. But running back is one of the few positions left where the smash guys typically are, like, I'm talking about like the guys who are like the 101 in fantasy. These guys typically are elite athletes. When you think of Saquon, you think of CMC. However, you have to look at, if we pull up some RAS profiles, raw athletic scores. Let's just pull up some guys here. This is Bucky Irving's RAS. 5'9", 192, 4.55 40, 1/6-yard, 10-yard split. And if you're new to being a nerd and caring about the combine, really the 40-yard dash is whatever. The 10-yard split, though, typically you do care about. Like if a guy has like a 4.3 40, but a 1.7 10-yard split, that's concerning. So, this is a bad RAS. 2.16 out of 10. Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams, a 3.52 RAS, 4.65 40-yard dash, 1.57 10-yard split. Again, so his 10-yard split actually is kind of good. 5'9", 194. Now, you have to keep in mind that the NFL is this ever-changing meta. Josh Jacobs, we're pulling him up next. Where, as and defenses get smaller to defend the pass, sometimes backs get bigger. It also means that smaller backs can do well. Josh Jacobs' RAS, also pretty garbage, right? 5.65, 1.6 10-yard split, 4.64 40, 220, 5.10, right? So nothing crazy here. All that's to say that I actually put Caleb Johnson higher in my rankings. And, the rookies are still a guess, but this is unofficial. But a 4.58 40 at 224, 1/6-yard. Like, this is perfectly Josh Jacobs, Kyren Williams, Bucky Irving, but better. It's closer to Jacobs. Yeah, I see no reason not to just follow the rankings here. London and Achane seem pretty fabulous to me. Achane, I think people are just a little bored with. They're like, oh, yeah, we saw it, whatever. London, I mean, this guy can definitely perform as... Like, if you had me do one draft this upcoming season, right now, with what we know, I'd probably rather do London than Neighbors, where Matt Stafford did go back to the Rams. I mean, that was like, come on, guys. If you were buying that, I was just like, the whole time I was like, this doesn't make any sense. The Rams trading Stafford. It doesn't, right? The Rams were a good team. They actually got better. They're young. It doesn't make any sense. Now, with the quarterback ambiguity for Neighbors, he is a unquestionably talented player, but he is a bit of a risky pick. I would rather have Brian Thomas Jr. than Neighbors. If the Giants can get Cam Ward, okay. Maybe. If they get Shedeur, well, number one, that's a big lift for Shedeur, just being able to check down to Neighbors. Shedeur, I've been kind of lower on the whole time. I just put him straight up behind Dart at this point. Who knows? He could still go top 10. He could be a third round pick. Yeah, and here's the thing. Kyron has 0 breakaway speed. The same thing can be said for Josh Jacobs. The same thing can be said for Bucky Irving. What these guys have is they're generally big volume backs who are going to get you touchdowns, right? And all of them, they all have a little bit different varying of speeds, right? Like Devin Singletary is a worrisome comp for like the lack of breakaway speed. But the guys who can just like house an 80-yard touchdown, those are the Jonathan Taylors. Those are the Derrick Henrys. Those are the Saquons. Those are the Jahmyr Gibbs. So it's kind of what you want. It is, as far as being a utter home run, able to rip off 30-point week after 30-point week, not even with touchdowns, just with like yardage. Those are the elite Raz guys. As far as being really solid guys giving you 20 points each week, which fantasy drafters typically love these dudes, those are the Josh Jacobs of the world. Those are the Bucky Irvings. And I would say like Bucky is a little bit of a risky pick just because at his size, we've not seen him hold up as like Kyron counterintuitively might be less risky because we've not seen Bucky be the guy the whole season. He pretty much split the work with Rachaad White most of last year. So would it be that surprising for Bucky to get injured? No, Najee Harris was not an elite Raz. When you don't test up something, that makes your like this is not an elite Raz, dude. Just getting his height and weight, like, let's be serious. He didn't do anything because he's terrible at all those things. Yeah, I'm just going to continue to hammer Chase Brown and James Cook. I'm already kind of hearing the people get bored of James Cook. Just remember the playoffs for him. Chase Brown as well. Like Chase Brown is drawing very live to outscore Ginty. He's drawing very live to outscore CMC, outscore Derrick Henry. There is concerns about him, and that's why he's going late in the draft. Yeah, I think the thing with James Cook, I don't get it. He wants to get paid, and I guess the Bills should take a running back just because it's a good running back class. Yeah, yeah, right, man. If you're 6'4" and you weigh 240, regardless of what your athletic measurables are, don't do anything to show up to the combine and you'll get an elite res. No, I don't think Cook's that risky. I think it is like who is riskier to me, Josh Allen or James Cook? I think Josh Allen is. Like what is James Cook at worst going to be? 10 touchdowns. And I don't think people who just look at numbers understood how hard of a runner James Cook was. And also, like the Bills, just look at their track record. They pay their dudes. They get the contract done. And I mean, is it really that absurd that the dude who scored the most touchdowns is going to get paid some money in a year where the cap went up for like significantly more so than people expected? This is this is like wish casting. Cook is going to hold out. I don't see that happening. Metcalf climbing a little bit. Still think Jameson Williams is a home run. I still think JSN is rather risky. Hampton, a big winner of the combine for sure. Tet McMillan didn't test, but neither did Drake London. What's this in regards to? Many things qualify, Alex. Just kidding. Oh, you don't think Chase Brown could outscore Gene T? If it's Chase Brown and a bag of rice, like, aka Khalil Herbert, and Gene T lands in a timeshare, 100% he could. Rashee Rice, I'm hearing somewhat positive news. He's still quite a risky dude, though. Debo, you know, if Debo was going to get traded, I think he landed in the nut spot for him. Cliff's West Coast offense. It is a bummer not to get a guy like Waddle. Like, Waddle is like your wide receiver, too. Just feels pretty like a gift. My team having 3 running backs I feel great about. It's like these guys feel great, but so do the rookie running backs. So, I don't know. We might be doing a weird build here. We'll see what wide receivers are left. Not an amateur. Don't ever peep the rankings before. Joe Burrow, that is quite a bad pick. Let's go Pickens. And I think Jennings. I think Judy. Judy's a tough guy to eval. We're definitely going Pickens. I guess we'll go Judy just because we have a Bengal, we have a Steeler, we have a Brown. So we're stacking up that division. You know, with the hopes that we're getting some playoff in Week 17 correlation. What was I trying to say? Burrow, something that I do with my rankings is with the quarterbacks, I try to rake them where you can get them. So Burrow for me, despite being, I think, overall like the QB4 in fantasy, as far as what I think he'll produce as, the market, I think, is going to give you him to correlate with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So 6-7 turn. So, you know, and I think that's the right way to do rankings for quarterbacks, right? Where CJ Stroud, I rank him to correlate with Nico Collins. Trevor Lawrence to correlate with Brian Thomas. No, dude, I don't need any tools. I wonder how the guys who used the tools did in BBM and how I did. I don't need any tools. Still pretty out on the tools. Unless I decide to sell tools myself one day, which seems pretty unlikely. It's a no-go for me. Thoughts on Judy? Seems like a ton of upside. I think the nut upside for him is getting a Jameis Winston, and I don't think he is going to be getting I don't think he's going to be getting that, right? Like, he's not going to be getting a guy who's going to be passing for 300 yards again. Ricky Pearsall, definitely a big winner. I still want to be taking on the risk of Ayuk, by the way. Matthew Golden, yep, pretty solid pick. Landing spot dependent. Again, Matthew Golden lands with the Steelers and Justin Fields, and you're like, ugh, what did I win? Kirk Cousins is Probably like a healthy Kirk Cousins um, is like the one guy who could maybe prop Judy up. But like Cam Ward, I mean, I don't know. If Cam Ward is a Brown, I don't know. I think that's a pretty wide band. Like I don't think we should just assume every quarterback is going to be Jaden Daniels. A lot of these quarterbacks are Bryce Young. So Luther Burden, super landing spot dependent on him. I've put him behind Amika. This is quite bad too, the naked Mahomes. Yeah, Jalen McMillan, welcome to the squad. And I could definitely grab a quarterback here. I could grab Baker. Downs, I don't know, man. Downs is whatever to me. Kind of got squeezed on the wideouts. I could grab a guy like Janu, who was just so good. Let's do that. Do the Janu Achan correlation above ADP, getting unique here, something I like. We're getting some steam that Ayuk could be traded. Now, I mean, like, is Ayuk the dude who's like looking outside the party right now at Debo Samuel getting traded to the Commanders? Where in another universe, Ayuk was traded last year to the Commanders, and Ayuk is going as the 106 because he didn't get hurt and he got to play with Jaden Daniels. I don't even know, like, what would Ayuk get traded for with the injury? Yeah, Ayuk is Squidward. Yeah. Again, I think Ayuk's talent is one of the most talented guys, but yes, week 17, all that matters, yada yada. But also, it really does suck if he misses the first 13 weeks. Now, I don't really know why Chris Godwin would necessarily be ready from the jump and Ayuk wouldn't. Like, they both have pretty significant injuries. But no one is really worried about Chris Godwin. And again, I think we will have much better info on both of them as free agency develops. Hampton went before Cook and Brown in my draft. Yeah, that seems jumping the shark. I mean, he might produce that way, but again, that is someone who's not like market sharp, where there's simply no reason to do that when you can get him in the next round. I don't think Ayuk was a bad call. It was a bad result. So, sure, if you want to be results oriented, is it bad that Ayuk tore his ACL? Yes. Are the Patriots a lock for Tet? I would say no, they're not. If I were them, am I taking Tet? Probably. But yeah, I know. What am I doing, right? It's a real possibility they sign Godwin and they go tackle. Oh, I don't agree with this. This is an interesting Caleb Williams pick. You know that Gilly just smashed all the keys on his keyboard. DJ Moore, Rome. Dude just rips Caleb. Perhaps with Amika is the hope. Yeah, I think that was, I mean, Ayuk clearly would have worked out if he didn't get hurt. I think he was drawing up to be one of the best picks because he would have been like a low advance rate, high ceiling player. So here's where I need to decide, like, do I just rip Herbert? Probably not going to. I think I'm going to go Njoku. And just a tight end duo of Jonnu and Njoku. I'm done at 2. And I quite like the comfort of 2. Mims is the safest of this bunch. Hunter, I don't know. I get wide receiver vibes, and I also get vibes of Moonlight. Let's go Mims this time. So we might be able to push Hunter. In general, though, I want to be taking the dive on Mims. I think Colston Loveland is just going to go ahead of Tyler Warren. Yeah, this is a fair point. If you're drafting Rashee Rice in the 50s and 40s, I'm taking Ayuk at 80. However, both could just be zeros for large portions of the year. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. Like, a lot of GMs are saying wideout for Hunter. Other people are saying that he's going to be corner. He's going to moonlight on offense. Yeah, I can get other quarterbacks. This type of build though is just quite chalk good, where 3 dudes who are drawing live to be studs with flex coverage. 5 wide receivers who are all, capable of being over 10 points per game, flex coverage. 2 tight ends who could be top 5 tight ends with flex coverage. Yeah, I think 26 and 24 is no difference. I think you start getting a real difference in your 30s. And again, like, you and I are not elite athletes. I can tell you chess-wise, I noticed a noticeable difference when I was 26 playing chess versus when I'm 32, as far as like whether I need to take care of myself, yada yada. Tootin at 122. Yeah, I mean, look, dude, Tootin scores were off the chart, but Tootin is also drawing, like, this seems no. Najee, yeah, I have him buried in my rankings. He's got negative juice. Like, what are people hoping for Najee? The market does. Well, and specifically, there's probably some sites that hate him just because, like, they didn't like him as a prospect and they're being stubborn. I think anyone who, like, watched football and, like, gave like an ounce of thought about the Bills' offense would realize that James Cook is very likely the best pick on the Bills. So this is kind of a reason why it's okay to gamble quarterback. We're going to rip Tua up here. And then, yeah, I just can't quit Trevor Lawrence. Especially when, like, Bryce Young goes within a couple picks. I would like to go, like, some of these other skill players, but just getting the safety of Trevor, where Trevor could definitely be a top 12 guy in fantasy again this year. Tua, we're definitely not doing without the stack, but we have the double stack. And it gives me 2 quite good quarterbacks with me able to tack on a third. Not Penix. Honestly, this is the negative of streaming. I just forgot I had London. I looked at my wide receivers. I was like, do I have a stack? And I was middle of thought. No, I definitely should have gone Tua and Penix. There's a very small chance we get Penix on the wrap, but we'll see. Definitely should have gone Penix, though. A rare misstep by me. Usually I can stream and draft quite well and chat. Really, guys, what we're doing is we're setting the big brain. We're setting the Penix on the wrap. And don't you guys know that George Pickens is going to be a Jaguar? I fear Quentin Johnson is a league winner. I don't really see it, man. I just don't see how that's possible. He was an okay pick this past year at free. $55 catches, 711 yards, 8 touchdowns. And that was with him being the de facto number 2. I think it's quite likely he's going to be the number 3 or worse. That makes sense to me. Yeah, you could backstack Trevor. I love London a lot, which makes me like Penix by de facto. But yeah, I think, which quarterback would I rather bet on, Trevor or Penix? 100% Trevor. Yeah, most people would peg James Cook for negative touchdown regression because he led the league in touchdowns. But what's crazy is he could actually score more touchdowns because, again, Josh Allen stealing rushing touchdowns is not something I'm going to assume he's going to do at quite a volume forever. And they have a kick-ass O-line, and he was really good in a goal line role this past year. Josh Allen stole $12 rushing touchdowns last year. If we can get, if that number goes down to 6, what's Cook going to be at? And it's possible Ray Davis picks it up, right? But I feel like a lot of what's happening right now is a couple of the other people who stream and sell rankings are just double and triple counting, where they're being like, oh yeah, Ray Davis is going to get the touchdowns. James Cook is going to negatively regress. And it's maybe, but also James Cook could be RB5, And when the game is, when the money's won, weeks 15, 16, 17, should be cold, kick-ass O-line. That was because I pulled up that site. When I pull up sites with ads, it always, here, let me. There's always some freaking thing on my computer taking a lot of energy. I don't know. Refresh your streams if you're getting lag still. Yeah, I would just refresh. Went Jaden Higgins and Wicks. Higgins definitely a winner from the combine. Wicks, I think in an ideal world gets traded to the Seahawks or is just the wide receiver 2 on the Packers. Thanks, brother. Feels like he finishes around RB10, if not better. Yeah, I mean, seems like, well, I mean, I don't know. Some of the rookies could be RB5 this year, right? Some of these dudes. But really, it's not just like, what is he going to be, RB10, RB8, RB what? It's going to be like, how many points does he score in the playoffs? And I see no reason why Cook is not a guy who's very likely to be a week winner. Ray Davis can take half those touchdowns. That is possible. Definitely possible. Ray Davis looked good as a rookie. He also was a fourth round pick. And again, when the games mattered, Cook was the dude. I think the Bills will definitely draft someone, but the Bills typically bring rookies along slowly anyways. I think Ray Davis is a good pick. Injury upside, yada, yada. Yeah, I mean, not trying to make anyone feel bad if this guy's watching, but like, this is the type of team I wouldn't recommend drafting, where he goes naked Mahomes. Okay, he has Mahomes with Pacheco, so like a little stack there. And I guess maybe he has an out to Tyreek Hill, very thin. And then he has naked Stafford. And again, it's like, ask yourself the question, with such a top-heavy contest with 250K, are you drafting such a better team than everyone that you don't need quarterback stacked when all the money's won? So I feel pretty decent about this wide receiver room, despite this shaky start. Honestly, I feel strong everywhere. Like, am I going to be the top quarterback room? But no. But like, can both these dudes be, 18 plus points per game? Yes. I think Garendo makes a lot of sense for my team. Yeah, and I'm not taking Whittington way past his ADP. Just in case I'm wrong and this dude is a smash, would like to get a share of him. I think the people hating on Isaiah Bond are just doing it because he was like loud and confident before the combine. Look, did he run the 40 he wanted? No. But he still seems like a pretty good gamble. And his top speed was quite good. Yeah, guys, I don't know. If you want to be a QJ truther, you can go ahead. Personally, I feel like he'll be like a double or single if it works out, with pretty big downside. Because the Chargers could draft, they could draft Colston Loveland. They could draft another wide receiver. So there's a lot of ways for that to go bad. I mean, sure. I think the easy way to do it is like pretty much just take him on Herbert stacks. He doesn't seem like a guy who's like, yes, I need 25% QJ. And he's expensive. He goes ahead of Romeo Dobbs. He goes just behind Hollywood Brown. He goes ahead of Christian Kirk. I don't think you're as good as Lad. Like, I don't like this question gets asked every year. Like, is it gonna hurt Tyreek Hill that Jalen Waddle's there? Is it gonna hurt um, you know, Trey McBride that Marvin Harrison's there? Is it gonna kill Amon-Ra that blah blah's there? It's like, dude, if you are an elite dude, you can have big weeks. Is he going to be the only dude? No. But I still think he's a pretty good bet. The big one. Yeah, Puka I ranked pretty high. I went ahead and ranked Puka and Jefferson ahead of the running backs. Do what you want. Harold Fannin, very wide rangings of him opinions. Jalen Noel, a winner of the combine. And we'll see on some of these guys, right? Like I took Higgins, winner of the combine. Some of these dudes turn out to be third round picks, whatever. Giddens and Harvey both seem winners of the combine, but again, I want to see landing spot. But like they seem worthy gambles at the moment. Jackson Dart remains a pretty good gamble to me. So like I did get squeezed on the fun third quarterbacks, I would say. Slayton remains a good pick. Jordan Mason. I don't know. Like he's probably going to be a Niner, unfortunately. Let's see. I think we might do Captain Kirk here. And let's do Lloyd. I think Rodgers makes sense too, with the hope that he's a Steeler. Lloyd remains a pretty comfy gamble for me. Let's see where Giddens and Harvey went in this one. Giddens went round 14. Maybe Harvey didn't go yet. I thought I had him ranked kind of high. Oh, he went round 12. Yeah, so you can see this guy's just drafting all the rookie running backs. Could work out. Could be like, Trey Benson, Blake Corum, whatever. The tush push is not getting banned, man. I think 30% is fine. Um, Years past, I've been like quite risky on some guys. Last year, BBM max exposure was like 30%, where I mean, 30% doesn't kill you, and it's quite nice if it's a hit. I don't really see the case for Lloyd. I think it's pretty easy to make. He was a third round pick last year. He is the RB2 behind Josh Jacobs, as far as we know. He was hurt a bunch and then had appendicitis, and those things, if he's simply healthy, he's probably the RB2 on a team and coach that historically uh, runs two running backs. Yeah, I'm not as worried about the prices in the big board. Yeah, Jalen Wright's a cautionary on a guy like the dude who's like rock hard for the combine, Tootin. I mean, worse for Wright is like he was actually the RB2 for quite a bit of the season. It's just that Achan was a workhorse. So, I mean, I don't feel forced to do anything here. I could go 10 wide receivers. I could go a third tight end. I could do a sixth running back and a ninth wide receiver. Maybe we'll Keaton Mitchell. And let's do this Jalen Lane dude. Actually, let's do Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, an old school brand guy for me. We do have Trevor Lawrence. Feels good. 3692. Tua, Trevor, Kirk, Achan, Chase Brown, James Cook, Garendo, Marshawn Lloyd, Keaton Mitchell. All three of these dudes have quite a bit of upside. They all have risk, obviously. Drake London, George Pickens, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen McMillan, Marvin Mims, Jaden Higgins, Dontavian Wicks, Jordan Whittington, Gabe Davis. Not the most awe-inspiring group of dudes, but lots of guys who can just hit the lineup. Several who have high weekly ceilings, right? Like Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk gets cut, or, if Gabe Davis, all he does is give you 3 big weeks, that is fine. Jonnu and Njoku, I mean, both have flex abilities. Both could be top 5 or better tight ends, so feels good to go thin with them. Always key to get last year, week 17 stacks, Miami versus the Browns. Quite a bit of division correlation happening here, so feels good overall. We got a Raven to go along with our Bengals, Browns, and Steelers. Kirk, I mean, outs to him being a Steeler, outs to him being a Brown. Let's do another here. And I'm going to refill my water and be right back. Let's see. Not seeing my name. 111. Devontae Adams to the Cowboys would be fun. I mean, there's a pretty wide range on Debo. I wouldn't call Gabe a smash, but he just doesn't have the ability to be target dominant, but he seems fine. That is correct, Jason. He did not play a lot last year. Did you guys know that the year before Jamar Chase was a rookie, he played 0 snaps in the NFL? Just saying. Let's see what happens. No one really has a huge bust potential, but I would say Neighbors and Bijan as far as pacing with their peers. Ooh, Brian Thomas. That's just fun. Will Dodgers trying to audit everyone's jobs? just kidding. Brian. BTJ. Let's pair. Let's pull JT up this time. 2 home run hitters. These 2 dudes were also on my Best Ball Mania team that got like 30th this year. So throwing it back. Some division correlation as well. Pepper Tony saying he just wiggles his mouse. Appreciate you guys being here. Be sure to like and subscribe. Link to join my Discord is below. You want to talk ball with us? And check out beatbestball.com. $100 for a year. Best deal in fantasy. Almost won AJ Brown there. Some nice values here. Nico and Ginty, pretty rare. Happens when people like me reach. Quote unquote reach. What if we're building the winning big board team right now, guys? Let's see. This is draft number 26 for me. The big board is 44% filled. So I don't know. There might be a time when I start doing a couple of these at a time. I have no idea, man. When you've almost won/won best ball contest, you don't take note for doing whatever. I mean, Matt, dude, let's be serious here. Do you think any best ball streamers give bad takes on purpose to try and thin out the competition? Do you really think people who, by the way, like, unless someone super chats or sign up to my site, I probably make like $10 a stream, maybe $20 if a lot of people watch. Do you really think someone is out there spending 2 hours or an hour of their life streaming, building an audience with the thought that they might throw off one single person? Like, no, I don't think people try to do it to try to thin out the competition. There's like no logic there. That's just like the conspiracy theorist in people where they're like, someone says something, they either disagree with it or they turn out to be wrong. And they're like, this guy's giving bad takes on purpose. Like, come on. And, like in general, just like, this isn't First Take, right? This isn't ESPN where just like saying bad stuff gets engaged. Like, most of us have very small channels. Even like Pete Overzet, he's got like less than 20K subscribers, right? I don't even have 7,000 subscribers. I mean, yeah, we're just gonna take the uniqueness avenue on a Brees Hall pick here, and by the way, I went ahead and ranked Josh Allen as QB3. Had to do it. It's in my heart of hearts. Let's get our first Lamar team. Lamar, JT, Brees Hall, Brian Thomas. Haven't been doing a ton of elite quarterbacks, but why not? Um, like this isn't like we don't get enough engaged. People disagree with good takes enough that you don't need to give bad takes, right? Like last year or the year before, I remember like I drafted Taysom Hill ahead of Pat Fryermuth. I think it was last year. And a dude was like, this guy is intentionally giving bad advice because people will follow him. Mind you, Taysom Hill was like one of the best picks in fantasy until he got hurt. And Pat Fryermuth was a terrible pick, pretty much, at price. So it's like people are going to disagree with the good that you don't need to do that. And it's just, it just doesn't make any sense. So no, I don't think anyone's doing that. When people are doing streams together, like, is there a very small part of just like saying stuff? Maybe. I don't know. So this is quite fun because, I mean, JT and Brees Hall correlate with this side of the board. Brian Thomas correlates with this side of the board, and Lamar does. So all of a sudden, I have a unique four that like very low chance to be replicated by anyone. That wasn't real. Like, you got to understand post combine, the Matt Stafford stuff, the Gronk stuff. Really not even worth mentioning. Yeah, Gronk said it's news to me. I'm not out on Zay Flowers, but it seems like very low chance of being a home run. I guess the Stafford stuff had some smoke in the same tune that Lamar Jackson actually not being a Raven had some smoke, aka it was contract and had no smoke at all. Gotta mix up the draft picks, man. The biggest concern for both Lamar and Zay is that their defense is just so good that they don't, really need to score that much. I'm not staying away from Javonte Williams. I mean, the dude's free. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Zay scoring 8, 9 touchdowns isn't crazy. Mark Andrews could be another year slower. I guess I would rather just have Jameson Williams. I can typically feel when I'm drafting a good team, but I'm not, you can never know that a team's going to win due to the amount of chaos it needs to navigate. Please God, no. Yeah, let's go Pickens again. I don't like Pickens just seems like a positive regression touchdown candidate where he's had 4, 5, and 3 touchdowns. Like we're gonna get the 8 touchdown season from him eventually. He's somewhat boring, but yeah, I have him ranked in this group. Ken Walker, Kamara. They were only bad against the pass to start the year. I think all these picks are fine. Let's do Caleb Johnson, though. Little thin at wideout, having gone an elite quarterback. Like, I think the dream for a guy like Caleb Johnson is like the Chargers. Do you think a combo of Dak and Kyler are fine for 2 QB? Yeah, I do. I think it's a mix where you'd go 3 sometimes, but definitely 2 is fine. There you go. I think that's a fine team to do the quad stack with. I'm not going to force the stack with Lamar. If Andrews or Likely are sitting there, we'll do it. Brees Hall, small chance of a trade. So we see Jennings, Devo, Pearsall all go. I have a guy in my mind who I want to make it pass back to me. Yeah, and this is why I have Joe Burrow ranked in the 70s. Because if he goes 66, you're eventually going to dodge an auto drafter and or people who don't just do naked stacks, and you're going to get him with Chase. You're going to get him with T. Higgins. Yeah, I just don't know what you would get him for him. Yep. And once it happens a couple times, it's typically a trend. I don't think Burrow's ADP is egregious as far as like production. Like, I think Burrow is drawing quite live to outproduce Jalen Hurts. Lamar's not a bad guy to take some rookie wide receivers with too. Seems like they would want a third. I mean, Burrow's been like a 25 point per game guy for seasons at a time. So I guess if we think 25 points per game is not good. God dang it. The trash dude's coming. I thought the trash day was tomorrow. See, like I don't think you trade him for that. I don't know what your point is, that you think that it is bad to do that, or that you would not get Burrow to fall to the 6th. So let's see who make it better. I think this was a pretty bad range of picks for me. Actually, getting Shakir is very similar to James Cook, where people are bored with him. 820 yards, only 4 touchdowns. And 4th-year player. If we can get that up to 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. Possibly the Bills' defense gets worse. More shootouts. And yeah, Jalen McMillan. I would be operating under the assumption that Godwin is not a buck currently, but obviously that could be wrong. I don't think you'd get a second for Brees. Just because influx of talent, no longer a first-year player. He's a running back. Where does Godwin go if not Tampa Bay? A team like the Patriots, a team like the Chargers, a team like the Rams. Yeah, I mean, Bills' defense is likely going to get better because they're probably going to do a defensive draft. I mean, the dream, I think, for Buffalo is like they get like Matthew Golden. But they're probably going to like draft a safety and a D tackle and whatever. I've been doing all over the place. I haven't done as many elite quarterback teams. This mid-range definitely feels pretty good. And I do quite a bit where you just kind of like take the stinkers. So teams so far: Lamar, JT, Brees Hall, Caleb Johnson, Brian Thomas, George Pickens, Khalil Shakir, Jalen McMillan. which feels good. Getting Shakir and McMillan as your wide receiver 3 and 4 when I was kind of thin there feels decent. Have flex coverage at both running back and wide receiver. Caleb Johnson, we'll see, right? Like he's either a home run or he's a terrible pick, and he has no business of going next to Kamara and James Conner. I mean, there's a lot of guys like this. Isaiah Davis doesn't get drafted. Obviously, if Brees gets traded and they don't draft a running back, I'm excited for the draft. I still think Kupp won't be a Ram, but we'll see there. Maybe he will just because. Andrews goes, so I'm freed from having to do that. Please, sir. Yeah, Aaron Jones I've been into. Players in the same division, mentioned it a couple times, but the hope is that you are landing week 17 and playoff divisional stacks. Oh, no. Whatever. We autoed Herbert before I could get the pick in. Obviously, I wanted to do Trevor, but now I don't know. I'll just force some stack. Yeah, and wide receiver kind of dries up. I feel decent gambling on Pacheco here. Way past ADP. With me going Herbert, I'm probably just going to stop at 2 QBs. Take some rookies and hope I land a stack. Possibly Caleb Johnson goes to the Chargers too. And there was no guarantee I was going to get Trevor, so could work out. Where do you have Kelsey? Pretty much ranked in this mix of tight ends. I still think he has quite a bit of downside regular season risk. I mean, Pacheco, RB4. When he goes in the same range as Najee and ETN, I feel like the risk is baked in. David Montgomery. Well, his slide is natural to coincide with hype for Judkins, Hampton, some of the rookie wide receivers. And, you know, he has some downside risk. Yeah, I think I'd rather choose Njoku over Kelsey as my tight end 1. I'm not a never Kelsey guy, but man, are we going to have to do a QJ stack now that we did Herbert? The butterfly effect of that. Someone take Trevor just so that he's not there. If Trevor's there, screw it. Maybe we'll go 3 wide receiver or 3 quarterbacks. We have no tight end yet. We're a little thin at wideout too. Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer's a free agent, so he's probably not going to be back. Stone Smart, Will Disley, QJ. Thank you, dude. Oh, maybe he thought I sniped him because he has Lad. He's like, I'll show you. I'm going all the stacks of the Chargers. Thank you for your revenge, sir. All right, well, let's go Keenan with the hope that he's a Charger. Will Disley looked good at times last year, man. I should definitely go wide receiver, but I really want to go Trevor. Screw it, dude. We'll get wide receivers and tight ends later. We're killing the room at quarterback. The thing about Disley is he will not be totally benched ever, in my opinion, because at worst he'll be the blocking tight end. So he's always going to be that guy who could like leak out and get, a touchdown or two in a game. Now he has no juice. He's not athletic. I was shocked he could even do what he did last year, but he was quite productive at times. He's not the worst roll of the dice. He's not like a huge upside guy, but like 481 yards, 50 receptions. Yeah, it's probably bad to chase this. Plays free, whatever. The Disley Raz, man, this is why I was a not draft Will Disley guy, because Raz is typically very important for tight end. 4.87, 40, 171 10-yard split. He has a good 3-cone, which pretty good. Yeah, he had a 3-game stretch. Not a bit. This is probably my first Keenan Allen team, but I think it makes sense. I don't know. The wide receivers, they don't feel great, but they're not terrible if these guys are really nice running backs as well. You can always justify the third early-ish quarterback too, because your hope is that you're starving the room a little bit. You're making other people panic. They're drafting quarterbacks higher. You get values later. 20 points a game, blah, 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 blah. And Trevor and Thomas's ceilings are just very nicely correlated. Like huge ceilings, that is. I quite like the gamble on Tillman. Disley is a good blocking tight end. Like he's going to be on the field in all likelihood. Is he likely to be a good fantasy option? No. Yeah, no, Tillman could be a 0. Yeah. Let's go Isaiah Bond. Shaken, not stirred. Still think he'll be a round 2, round 3 pick, which has a really wide range. That can be Jalen Polk. That can be an Xavier Worthy. That can be a Ladd McConkey. Jaden Higgins is more your prototypical X type of wide receiver. Some nice running backs I passed on, but feel like my team needs to pass on it. Because like Keenan could be a 0 by the time the playoffs are around. Tillman's either like Juwan Jennings, but cheap, or not playing football. Let's do some research on Cedric Tillman. And there's like no news on him at all. Well, and we'll never really know there. I think they put him on IR because it was a really worrisome concussion. And I mean, like, yeah, not to be bleak, but that type of stuff can ruin your life. Like, we don't know. Maybe he, like, literally is waking up not knowing, what's going on in the world. Or maybe they're being cautious with him because they think he has a promising future, etc. I don't think Keenan will be a Bear. That I feel pretty good about. Taking Bond over Wicks is either hitting like, the hope for Isaiah Bond is still that he's basically an Xavier Worthy. Not quite as fast, but similar payoff. Appreciate you, Meat Glazer. Gazer. So probably going to end up with Lamar unstacked, but they could totally be an Isaiah Bond team. A speedster, a replacement for, man, I'm blanking on him. He's been a journeyman forever. Used to be a Raider, used to be a Patriot, whatever. Their third wide receiver. He could be a third wide receiver. This dude. So I was right. I mean, if you've been watching the stream, dude, I autoed him. Number 2, we only look at teams if you super chat. This is too good a price on Algier. I can't pass it up. RB5. Aguilar. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Cole Kmet. First tight end. Come on down. Would have liked to go like Kmet and Hunter Henry, but can't really pass up Algier as probably a fifth and final running back. I have JT. I have Brees Hall. You hope Bijan misses games and Algier is the guy. Yeah, Bears could draft wide receiver. The Bears could do a lot of things, man. They could get a sneaky guy in free agency. I'd rewind the stream, copy paste because I talked about it. But yeah, I'm not really worried about the 40. We did this whole thing where we looked at Josh Jacobs, Kyron, Bucky Irving. It's at the beginning of the video. Getting at least one solid tight end feels nice. 16th round. Obviously, I'm done at quarterback. I'm done at running back as well. So probably just going to chuck on 2 more tight ends and 2 more wide receivers. Yeah, Najee's elite Raz. That's an all-timer, man. Someone's like, yeah, he didn't do the agilities. It wasn't just the agilities, guys. He didn't do any testing. Thing about Pat Freiermuth, man, is he just has like no yak ability at all. Like watching him last year, like he feels like a good pick. And so I do him sometimes. But then I think about like him just catching the ball at the line of scrimmage and getting instantly pummeled into the ground. Tolbert, I don't know, man. Like we did the Tolbert thing. What did we even get for it? And they seem super likely to bring someone in. Can we just pull up the stats and not make me click a site? Come on, Google. $610 yards last year. I mean, that's not terrible. You know, I really thought the Mingo trade would only be brought up like one time. I was wrong. What about Turpin, dude? Turpin showed juice. Nick Chubb. I don't know, man. I don't know. What's everyone's thoughts on Nick Chubb? Yeah, I've yet to take him. I don't know, the concept of Kayshon Boutte sounds okay to me, but he also doesn't sound that good to me. I mean, Wandale feels pretty good, man. I guess he's like pretty Tolberty with unlikely to score touchdowns. But I mean, the man had 140 targets last year. Like with my team, which has a lot of dudes who you don't even know if they're hitting your lineup, I might need his 6 to 8 points in a playoff week. Sure, Fannin. Why not? He like looks so good catching the ball. His testing was not good. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. Like Wandale feels kind of like Elijah Morey to me. But he also, like if they get Cam Ward, they get a good quarterback, they actually throw for some touchdowns. He has the ability to get 10 targets in a game. Yeah, I thought the Chubb people last year were insane. Like Dalton Schultz is who I take if I just like want some production, but I want Fannin, gamble some upside. Schultz, man, Schultz was incredibly Pat Fryermuth-y in his yak ability. Juwan Johnson, solid pick. Broncos starter. Jalen Naylor. I don't know. That one, like, we're drafting the Vikings wideout 4, pass catcher 4. I mean, Wandale had some half-point PPR spikes last year. He had some games where he scored some touchdowns. He's drawing live. Like he could have a peak Cole Beasley year if they get a good quarterback. Ripping another. This is my last one. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, check out beatbestball.com. $100 a year. Best deal in best ball. We'll be back with Davis tomorrow, chopping up the combine. And link to join my Discords below. Like and subscribe. They wanted to deny me the Gabe Davis. They're afraid. Tesla, yeah, I have him ranked as draftable. He is like he could totally be I forget his name. He's like a practice squad dude on the Giants, but like he could be a nothing. Same with this Thornton dude. Both these dudes tested well, basically, but like they're probably zeros year one. But what if they're not? Your hope for both of them is that they are somehow, some way, a version of Brian Thomas Jr. But again, they probably are not. But we'll see. We'll see on the draft capital. Jonathan Brooks, I don't know about that one. Let's do Diami. Free agent. Not too dissimilar from Darius Slayton. Not always drafted. And Bretton Strange pairing with Trevor, third tight end. Feels good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you being here. I'll be back tomorrow. Like, subscribe, join the Discord. Peace out.